Hey everybody, this is Jekar again with another battle report. This is a 3,000 point game for one of the narrative battles in the rulebook, Dark Monolith of Zul Gozar. The point is, it's like Watchtower, except you can't inhabit the arcane ruins, and it has some special rules. If you're within 12 inches, your wizards get a 3 plus save, and for the unit, if a wizard's in a unit that controls the arcane ruins, it gets a special spell called Dark Wind of Death, which is scary, and we'll get to that in a second. My opponent really loves this scenario. I don't know why, but we keep playing it, and so this is like the third or fourth time. But we've never cast the special spell, the Dark Wind of Death, before, and so I think he just wants to keep playing until he can actually cast it. So in the first picture here, we've got 28 Orc Auror Boys, and you can see two kind of trolls hanging out on weird bases. Those are my proxy mangler squigs. I'm proxying them because I haven't yet gotten my stuff in the mail to make my mangler squigs. Uh, Hopefully you'll see those in a couple more battle reports. I'll put them up, and they will look nice, much nicer than these weirdo trolls. As for the rest of my deployment here, you can see a little bit better picture of the troll manglers there. Super ghetto. We've got a Goblin Wolf Chariot, no bells and whistles. We have 40 Black Orcs, but they're not just regular Black Orcs, no. They are Grimgor's Das Immortals. You can see him there in the corner. That's a model that my wife painted for me. I think that's the first one that she ever painted while we were dating, and I knew she was a keeper. So they have weapon skill 5 and hatred everybody, which is sexy. Next to them, I've got, you can see two Boar Chariots that are almost observing the inch apart rule. That's probably my fault. We've got two Night Goblin Shaman. They're level 1 in the back. We have a Doom Diver behind them. You can see it's a goblin and a cannon. I really like that. You can just barely see the staff and sword of my Orc Wizard Orcsies. This is a regular Orc. He's just hanging out close enough to get the lookout serve from the savages. And there's a Rock Lava behind that. Then, of course, the obligatory Savage Horde, 40 Savage Orc Biggins. The guy in white on the left-hand side of the picture is my Savage Orc Shaman. He has the shrunken head. And the guy next to him is my Savage Orc BSB. He has the Armor of Silvered Steel for a 2-up armor and a Great Axe. And apparently I don't have any pictures other than this big overview picture for the rest of the stuff I have. And this picture is taken after I vanguarded. You can see in front of the Manglers I had 5 Wolf Riders that went up that scree slope. Next to the Savage Star I have Squigs, that is 30 Squigs and 10 Handlers. And next to them is a unit of Wolf Riders that I've also vanguarded up. And just at the very tippy top of this picture, you can see I have another Wolf Chariot on that side. As for my opponent's deployment, over here on the left, you can see that he has, this is my left, his right flank. He has 25 or 30 red group clan rats. They have a standard and a musician and a champion. In front of them, we've got 8 globadiers with a bombardier, whatever the leader is named. And I think that guy has a death globe, but I'm not entirely sure. And they're standing next to that corner is a little building there. Behind the building, a little bit behind some slaves. Well, up front there's 20 slaves. Behind them and slightly behind the building is 25 gray group. There's a plague priest in there. Next to them is the Doom Wheel. That is the Mark II. That's the newer Doom Wheel. Next to that is the Warp Lightning Cannon, which while I hate the Warp Lightning Cannon on the field, I think that's a really excellent conversion. It's part of the chassis from the Plague Furnace, one of the old Screaming Bell domes, and a Ferrari engine actually from a model car. So I think that's kind of awesome. Skaven would do that. Next, in front of that rather, is the Storm Vermin. There's 40 Storm Vermin. There might be 50. They've got a Warlord on a Rat Ogre Bonebreaker. And so that's just shooting bait at this point. This picture shows you a little bit better the Rat Ogre Bonebreaker, which is, I think, a really good model. It's actually detachable. You can take the platform off and use that as a Rat Ogre, and you can actually take the champion off of the platform and use him as a regular warlord as well. So that's sexy. In the unit next to them, I think that's purple group, or that might be red group, I can't tell. And that's 30 or 35. That's got a Grey Seer. That's got the BSB. And that's just there. And the warlord, that's actually the general. So beside that, we have a big bus, 50 slaves, the Hell Pit Abomination, looks like 50 giant rats with 5 pack masters, another 40 slaves in front of that, another warp lightning cannon, and the Doomwheel Mark II. Or anyway, this is the older one, so this one might actually be Mark 1 and the other one might be Mark 2. But anyway, this is the older one from like 5th edition when we first started playing. So Skaven get first turn, which I'm really cursing. I really wanted the first turn to take control of the tower, and or at least contest it, so he couldn't cast the Dark Wind spell, because I knew that that was going to be his plan. Well, first thing that he does is the giant rats charge my wolves who had vanguarded, and as you can see in this picture, we ran away. We didn't want any part of that. I actually want to use the wolves to delay some people, so I don't actually want them to get killed just right off the bat by giant rats. In Magic, he kills the rightmost, my rightmost wolf chariot. He warp lightnings it off the field. He throws plague with that plague priest, and I throw the dispel scroll, which is probably a bad idea in general, but as we'll see, or as I'll get to in a second, that's actually not a bad idea. Then I use my dice to dispel another warp lightning at another chariot. He casts Dark Wind of Death. It kills 6 savage orcs who passed none of their saves. He had 6 hits on it, and none of them passed on a 5+, so I was kind of pissed. And then it plinks 3 wounds off of the boar right next to them, the boar chariot. And this is strength 3, I want to say, maybe strength 4. And so it got about half of its hits wounded me on a 5-up, and so I was kind of pissed about that. But then, of course, the engineer that cast it passed his leadership test, and he didn't get sucked into the warp or have to take any kind of test like that. In the shooting phase, starts off okay. Both of the Doom Wheels misfire. The Mark II on my left flank doesn't wound itself, and the Mark I does 1 wound to itself on my left flank. The cannon snipes at my boar chariot that's wounded and fails to wound it, but it does kill my shaman, my orc shaman that used the dispel scroll. So like I said, it was a good thing that I used the dispel scroll when I did, but now I'm really pissed. That shaman had Hand of Gork and Foot of Gork, and that was really gonna, do stuff for me in the coming combats. That was how I was gonna try and even it out. And final note for this first turn is that the this template is the second warp lightning cannon. It has misfired and done full. Well, I guess it wasn't misfired, but it's full power right in the center there. I passed a fair few saves, so that's how many are left after the template hit. So -6. I think I lost 4 more, 2 more. It wasn't a big great deal. He failed to wound a lot, and I passed a lot of ward saves. So that's one good thing that happened to me on this turn. And next to them you can see the wound on the boar and the naked space where there used to be a shaman that I'm really kicking myself about at this point. So Orc and Goblin, turn 1. This blurry picture is a picture of the first thing that I do. I charge a wolf chariot into some globadiers. I take 2 wounds from the stand and shoot, and they do a wound to themselves, I'm pretty sure. And so I'm thinking that this combat's going to go my way. Both of the boar chariots here attempt to charge the slaves that have his engineer that's casting Dark Hand of Death, and both of them fail. They need a pretty high number. They need like a 9 or a 10, but I figured with Swift Stride they'd be alright. But I really wanted to go ahead and kill that guy and stop Dark Hand of Death from going off, but no luck this turn. And finally, my Wolf Riders reform and form a conga line. Because they're fast cav, they move a little bit as well. They move over to try and redirect the what's it called? The Doom Wheel, the Mark I over on this flank. They did the conga line so they could actually avoid the scree slope, so they didn't lose any to dangerous terrain. I don't have any pictures for the rest of the turn. Magic was kind of a bust. I poisoned the Black Orcs just for the sake of it, not following Tom's advice at all on not casting when you don't have to. In shooting, my Doom Diver targets the general, or not, excuse me, not the general, the warlord on the Bone Breaker, and scatters off and kills a slave. It might target the Hell Pit, I'm not really sure. But anyway, it scatters off a fair number of inches and it kills like one slave. And my Rock Lobber, I throw it on the Bone Breaker and it drifts off and it kills 3 Storm Vermin. And in the only combat, the Wolf Chariot and Globadiers, I kill 3 or 4 and I run them down. Or I don't run them down, excuse me. They get away and I'm kind of pissed that I failed to catch them, but such is life. These are just some pictures to give you an idea of what's going on at the end of my turn 1. You can see the positioning of some units, the Goblin Wolf Chariot, the way my units are aligned. You can note that my savages didn't move up because they failed their animosity, if I didn't say that already. You can see my wolves congoing in front of that water, kind of taunting the Doom Wheel. You can see just the way where my manglers are. And yeah, just wanted to give everybody a good idea of what was happening. So Skaven turn 2, you can see these slaves charge into the squigs, which seems like a terrible idea, but that's what they do. I guess he's thinking that he's going to be steadfast or something, even though I have the same number of ranks as him to start with. I think he tried to charge something else in there that failed. The Mark 1 Doom Wheel goes into the wolves, and I guess that's the Mark 2 that goes into the wolves, and that's going to be a complete bloodbath. That was something that I didn't see coming. I always forget that the Doom Wheel is 360 degrees, even though I've been playing it since I was, 15, which was a long time ago. Over here is the Mark 1, and this one is the one that has wounded itself. It goes into the river, which is a necrotic ooze, and doesn't wound itself. I'm kind of pissed about that. I'm just trying to hold it up so it has to, charge me and stay in the river an extra turn, which is why I've Congo lined. But it has failed the first of its, hopefully, 3 dangerous train tests, or it has passed, rather, and so I'm hoping really to kill it off with dangerous train. The Abomination runs away from my Black Orcs. It doesn't want to have anything to do with Grimgore, which is a fair assumption. It's just going to try and get to the other side of the battlefield, but it's not moving very quickly. And this is a Warlock Engineer that is up on my nuts. Thank you, Malorian. Going to try and just, stall me out. And give my slaves, have him attack me in his turn with the slaves so he can shoot me extra times. So thanks again, Malorian. Now in the magic phase, he Dark Winds of Deaths again. He kills 3 savages. He kills 7 squigs, 2 handlers. It was a pretty good scatter. He again passes the leadership test. He's like 10 with the reroll. What am I going to do? His cannon number 1 kills a mangler and a couple Black Orcs. You can see in this picture there's no mangler in front of the Black Orcs anymore. That's what happened. Cannon number 2 kills the wounded chariot, so the one next to the boar chariot in this picture has been destroyed. The Mark 1, which I was blocking with the wolves, has run the wolves off. It shoots them, it kills 2 or 3, they run away. So now I'm not blocking him anymore. That's pissed me off a little bit. And Mark 2 restrains because it's pretty close. It doesn't want to, shoot into the wolves or something. I'm not really sure why it restrains, but it does. And then he fires a warp fire thrower at the Black Orcs and misses. He needs like a 10, and so he doesn't get it. In combat, the squigs predictably go ridiculously crazy. They kill 18 out of those 20 slaves. They just delete the unit. They lose 3 squigs in return. So they've taken some losses. They've lost 10 squigs at this point, but they're still a pretty scary unit. And predictably, the Doom Wheel, the hamster ball, deletes the wolf riders, and something that I didn't see was that it goes ahead on and pursues into the wolf chariot, and again, that's just really poor placement by me, leaving that chariot. I mean, I thought it was going to overrun farther, but leaving it in the path like that was really, really stupid of me.